No problem, Hagrid. And in the meantime, we might just as well start with the second match of today. That is going to be between MarC and Tadao. Yet again, first round matchup, and it's going to be played on Watering Hole yet again. As for these players, Tadao is basically an energy main, so it's no wonder that we are going to be seeing Isis. He plays basically Set and Isis mainly, and he's pretty good with that, especially we have seen him in RTS League in some past seasons. He's a pretty good player. And against them will be standing MarC, who is basically also, from what I have seen on his profile, also Isis main, but right now he's going to be playing Zeus, which is interesting choice, because, well, why not? Isis is pretty great on the no patch, but Zeus is also, and he's probably hoping, or rather thinking, that he doesn't like Isis mirrors or whatnot, but since this is blind pick, this tournament is on blind pick, which means that players actually don't see what their opponents are choosing. It might be an attempt to actually surprise his opponent, so let's see if that will work out for MarC in this game. Well then, Tanutamun is going to be the Pharaoh for Tadao's Isis in this map. He's already seeing quite nice position of the hunt, of course, on the right. So that's going to be hunting dogs for him very easily with some hippos at the bottom. And then a bit of a medium gold mine on the left, but doesn't seem to be as lucky as Kaimo on this map. As we have seen the extra relic. There is actually a relic at the bottom, which is for better human soldier pierce armor, which is not bad, even though it's not really the quality of his opponents or of the relic on the caravans and whatnot. But he is also having elephants on the left with extra gold, and some extra gold also on the right with a lot of hunt in here. Some extra piggies with the town center. So he definitely will be tempted to go to the right. And this is very interestingly spawned map actually, because you don't often see this. This usually is also water. So that actually the parts of the maps are not connected, and this may potentially lead to some very nice surprises in the later game. Faster infantry build time, not bad, especially since this goes to the Zeus player in here, who is having also a pretty decent map with the hunt at the back, gold also reasonably safe next to the town center, but unfortunately this is just one hippo. He was quite probably hoping for a bit more, I would be assuming. Kind of weird placement of Granary. It might actually be because he was going for the Granary first at the bottom for the Rhino or other hippo, because he hasn't noticed the gazelles at the top and then switch, which should result in slower advance time, because that's going to be a lot of walking from there to there and whatnot. So he should be advancing like a half a minute later at least. That's basically something that you don't really want to happen, but against an Isis, I don't really think it's going to matter all that much. Extra gazelles to the left side, and also a bit of a hunt to the right with the cranes, the crocodile, and the piggies, of course. But he has already discovered the gazelles on the left, so that's going to be where he will switch first. Going for the hunt in here, or is he? Really, he is going. Oh, that's going to be yet another downtime for him, because it's very far away from the town center. He definitely should have chosen even this one hippo. That would have been slightly faster advance for him. But let's see if it's going to matter all that much. Yet again, we are against Isis, so probably not really. Against North, that would have been a problem. And let's have a look somewhere else on the map, like for example the gold in the middle. But we have already seen that he has gold, at least one gold mine on the left, so he should be quite happy about the position of the TC and the gold mines. So not any kind of problems. We've already seen that Tadao will be mightily happy about the gold on the left and the one on the right as well. Whereas town center placements could have gone better for Tadao, but a lot of wood around it makes it quite nicely defensible. You are just going to put a few towers or some cheap buildings inside, and it's going to be basically secure from any kind of potential attack from your opponent. This town center at the top might be quite interesting to MarC, as he might be going for an aggressive TC for the hunt, as those two elephants with all the zebras are very, very bountiful bounty at that stage of the map, or other part of the map, and might be quite interesting for him to actually go for it. Let's see. MarC is in the meantime advancing into heroic sometime around 5 minutes, it seems. He will be finished with the temple about 4 minutes, or rather before 4 minutes, but he doesn't have the hunt yet. And even though he has just switched into the hippo with hunters from the top, hasn't unfortunately for him discovered the cranes. And that would be maybe the spot where he would have gone if he did. But he is right now on the left, and that's also a bit potentially not ideal. Because he probably doesn't know about the Elise, right? Oh, actually he does. Okay, so that changes things. He knows about the Elise, he knows about this hunt, so it's going to be just up to him if he wants to go for second TC right there. I probably would, against an Egyptian especially. Or if he wants to go with all 10 villagers, 6 here, 4 here going to the bottom, going for the elephants, and yep, that's exactly what I would expect right about now. Because he is making for nice 10. Yeah, that's going to be an ideal number to get rid of the elephants threatening him and his villagers. Tadao, in the meantime, is quite nicely developing in the middle, trying to gather as much food as he can before he's forced inside his base, as he's expecting exactly that, and we would be expecting probably fast heroic, nothing standard from the player in here, as he's also quite nicely interested in the elephant on the left. Quite nice, quite nicely, scouted by MarC right about now, just discovering where the gold is, as he's going to be advancing through Hermes into the classical age at 510. Let's see what his next move is going to be. Let's check them economy upgrades. We are seeing still just hunting dogs and nothing else. Ah, finally. We are seeing at least hand ducks, but he should be going for pickaxe as well. Especially if he's going for any kind of economy, or even if he wants to go for raiding with stables, but he's going for a defensive town center. Alright, so he's trying to take it a bit safely. But I'm not exactly sure that's going to work out all that well for him. But let's see. Let's see. Attempting to take it safely, but at the same time, if he's going for a safe build order, he might actually want to wall up a bit, at least here at the bottom and here, so that he protects the left part of the map, which is going to be quite crucial for his economy, I expect, and trade route and absolutely everything in there. Whereas in the meantime, Tadao seems to be gathering up some extra priests together with the Sphinx and will be attempting a bit of a raid in, it seems. So far it's not going to be all that easy against Jason with Centaur, obviously. But you also see that he's dropping armory, which should result in a pretty decent faster heroic. So let's see if he's already hugging up all the villagers to the gold. Probably quite soon. As he's also building a bit of a natural wall from the houses on the left, as he has finished on the top. But is it all the way through water? Probably yes. Probably yes, although I'm not 100% sure, but I would be expecting that it could be. In the middle, though, there is a bit of a kerfuffle, and probably the Centaur is going to die. Yep. Goodbye, Centaur. That's a pretty big problem, because that's the most mobile unit that MarC has right now, and was potentially hoping that he can somehow control his opponent, what he is doing, and also maybe snipe a villager all too. But that's not going to be happening anytime now, and this is really just waiting in here for the advance into the heroic age, and then unleashing some quite strong shenanigans. So let's see. Armory being finished almost, but right now 1,000 food already, but just missing a few gold in here. So he's probably hoping, or rather thinking, repositioning the villages for a bit more efficiency, that he's going to be finishing with the armory at exactly the time where he will be ready to advance into the next age. Well, definitely. in here, the hippo in next to the gold mine, but otherwise he is already establishing himself to the right so that he controls the town center, potentially even the gold, which he knows about, and also is able to secure a quite safe trade route and potentially even the hunt if he wants to. Otherwise, for MarC, we are seeing with the two town centers just going full on economy with Hendax and Pickaxe and the Alice in here. But he's not really already switching to farms, not really going for any kind of aggressive play so far. He is having 2 stables, as Neftis has been clicked in for Tadao, and having pretty decent economy overall, so he could just be having a quite nice auto queue on all of these. all of these tables, but he seems to be aiming for faster heroic himself. But since he doesn't really have the food right now, and it's going to take him quite a lot, I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be the best choice. You should probably just be going for a pretty much standard aggression against Senegi, which is just building a lot of hippicons and hoping that you can withstand the early pressure in the advance into heroic cage that Egyptians usually do. And as long as you can delay at least a bit the building of the Migdol, you are quite nicely set up to withstand the Egyptian overall. But Tadao is going for a second TC first, as he's going to be advancing just about now, probably going to be switching into Migdol right when he finishes. And let's see if he actually builds a Migdol here, or if he's going to go basically just to cover the gold altogether, or if he's maybe going to capture the the third town center from his opponent. Not exactly sure right about now. So let's wait for what is going to happen. Well, MarC is definitely going to be surprised. Because with the mythical units in here, and even through Odysseus, it's not going to be enough to deal with the town center that is just now finished. And it means that MarC will be forced to do something else. He should be advancing already. We're almost there. But he needs to turn off the auto queue if he actually wants to get the resources. You would have them right about now, if it wasn't for the auto queue on the villages. Yeah, that's the downside of auto queue. If you are not paying attention, it can actually cost you quite a lot in the advanced times and whatnot. So yeah, better be careful. Better be careful, because he has already finished with the elephant as well, which means that he's going to be having a bit of a downtime in the food economy, which means that you can see he's dropping in the food so much, and he's just waiting for the next stage. And even though he has finally built some extra army and right about now killed the Scorpion Man, which is the biggest threat, even though the second one is still alive. Well, this army is right now not going to be enough, because Migdol has been built and siege works are coming up right next to gold. So yep, it seems like that Tadao is moving slightly forward to the top, basically trying to control the town center as well, and hoping that he can stop MarC from taking it and maybe even establishing himself in the middle of the map. We are just going to be having a bit of a waiting time, as MarC is still praying that he can somehow overcome the auto queue curse, which he just might, because he has housed himself. That's another way how to actually gather the food for the advance, but not one that he would have hoped for. And oh well, oh my, yet again did actually. He did finish the house before he was clicking in, so that was yet again a few seconds later. But finally he is going through the Apollo, but he unfortunately doesn't have the Kataskopos somewhere at the back, like here, hidden the very corner of the map for potential underworld passage shenanigans later on. So it seems like that Tadao seems to be, or rather thinks to be, ready for full-on assault and attack. Whereas MarC is having towers researched and developing with extra military academy. So 3 military academy and 2 stables. That's quite food heavy. You want something in the mix that actually costs wood. And he's maybe hoping that it could be manticores, but for that he would need some extra guys on the favor, which he doesn't have. So in that case, he definitely needs some extra archer ranges, because he could use some Toxels, as they are pretty strong and can deal even decent damage even to all the camels, especially to the chariot archers, and help with overall battles in here. Definitely on time, the manticore. But this is kinda just waiting for the ancestors to happen, and I think they are going to happen as soon as Tadao is able to deal with this one threat, which basically allows him to go inside the opponent's base. And once he deals with this pesky Odysseus, because that's one of the biggest problems that he would be facing if he casts ancestors right about now. And here we go with ceasefire, which is, I think, quite warranted, but it might actually spur the town center from Tadao. Let's see. Because Tadao is housed, of course, so all he needs right now is a bit of extra gold, and he will be moving for the town center. I'm reasonably sure of it. He's still going to be having quite a lot of time for that. And the upgrades, we are probably not going to see anything from either of the players. But we also see finally extra hoplites from MarC, so that's going to be a bit of an army from him. And since Tadao is popped, MarC is reasonably popped as well, having a lot of wood right now, so he definitely needs to switch from that wood, rather resource, or he needs to make something that would be making use of that, which he still doesn't have anything like that. Of idols, unfortunately, just going for farms with the wood, of course. That's a good choice. Let's have a look at potentially, rather, let's have a look at the economy upgrades. We see a hand axe, pickaxe, and plow for MarC, whereas his opponent is having hand axe and pickaxe. Okay. So not anything extra. And since we are running out of the ceasefire, going to be ancestors, I'm pretty sure of it. Even though all three heroes are in spot, I'm thinking that Tadao with proper micro should be killing all of them. And once he is able to do so, just lose Pharaoh in here, unfortunately. It doesn't really matter all that much. He is going to be in a pretty nice spot. Yep, and right now he's going to be concentrated on Jason, on Odysseus, and on Heracles in here. And if he can kill them fast enough, especially with the pretty strong push of the siege towers on the left, that's going to be it. Because the ancestors are super strong, and they are going to be wrecking absolutely everything in there. But needs to be careful as there's a lot of idiots just ready to defend their empire. So, religion, rather, all three heroes finally dead. MarC trying to rebuild them, but it's going to take quite some time because Odysseus is quite long to make, and even though Jason could be faster, he is not going for him. And it seems like that actually even through the ancestors, well, MarC is able to defend this quite nicely. You can see that Tadao is at 3 TCs as he has captured the one at the back. But the sheer amount of siege towers right now at 6 is a pretty big problem as he's doing a very good thing. And that's exactly housing his opponent. You can see that he's dropping him to just 110. It's going to be quite a lot less quite soon. And the reinforcements are just much stronger and much faster coming in from Tadao, as he seems to be having a lot stronger economy. And simply, yeah, the hoplites together with Hippicons are just too heavy on food. You can see that he's having 0, whereas 2000 wood, and he could definitely use something that could be using the wood. That would be either the Manticore or even Peltasts, if he actually wanted to save some kind of gold, or Toxots, because they would be dealing quite decent damage to any kind of priests or chariot archers, but that's unfortunately not happening, and it seems like that Tadao is pushed through, and yep, MarC sees exactly that. So that was nicely controlled by Tadao from the very start, and even though MarC did have a pretty good chance to go there, I think he strongly shot himself in the foot by delaying the advance into the heroic age, that he was basically ready in for it by like at least 2-3 minutes. And he either should have went full on army with the Hippicons and Radiant or whatnot, or just advance fast without the auto queue on the villages. That would have helped him stabilize a bit sooner, but still quite nice effort, and he was almost able to withstand even the ancestors with the Eclipse. Let's have a look at the post game, which is quite even. Guys winning one thing, losing another. And the economy actually, MarC was quite well off as opposed to his opponent. But that's understandable since Tadao was going for faster heroic, which means that you are not going to be having as strong economy as your opponent. Especially when your opponent, as an Eggy, is Zeus or any kind of Greek. Civilians 75, 76. That's pretty much the same. But unfortunately, MarC didn't choose the correct unit composition. You can see 68 military count, but just 34 units killed. Even though the ancestors do play a big role in there, it's still not ideal. It was actually quite a nice game. Quite even game for most of it. Alright, GG then.